Hi, welcome to my channel, Psychic Kathleen. Today I'll be continuing along with my project of describing a client who has come to see me in person, the issues that they've brought forward or questions, and the cards I've drawn in answer to those posed questions, and how I've interpreted those cards in light of the client, the cards that were drawn, and the question or issue, concern that they've brought with them. So I met with a very lovely woman who is in her early 60s. She lost her husband 5 years ago to lung cancer, which had devastated her. They were very close. They had 3 children. One of her daughters, is recently married. Her son, who's in his early 30s, a graduate of engineering, is now very confused about what he wants to do going forward. After her husband's death, she fell into a very severe depression, and she prayed a lot. And what she discovered was the more she prayed, the better she felt. So that led her down a spiritual pursuit of Buddhism. And it was interesting because when I first met her, my very first impression was that she was a Buddhist nun. And so when we started speaking and she described her spiritual journey, it struck me immediately that this must be her spirit guide. And I often get asked that question, who is my spirit guide, Kathleen? And really, sometimes it's really that obvious that it seems as though the spirit guide has just kind of manifested in their physical being. And she laughed. She said when she was in Burma recently, she was eating, having a meal at a street vendor stand, and a woman came up to her and said, "Are you a Buddhist nun?" And I said, well, I'm not surprised, because it really is, she's shining through you so brightly. So that led us to exploring a number of, different exciting and, possibilities really for her future. So one of her questions had been about her son, who is concerning her. And indeed, that had come up, the 8 of Cups, which shows him walking away emotionally from a previous employer. And indeed, he did that. He felt like the whole large corporate world was really not the right place for him. In fact, he had pursued engineering more as a way to make a living. It really wasn't something that spoke deeply to him. And I said to her, I felt, my intuition was telling me he should go on to medicine. And she laughed and said, when he went off to engineering, I told him that he should go into biomed, which is, engineering limbs. And I said, that's bang on. You're absolutely right. Clearly your intuition is accurate as well. But she said he is very stubborn, and it's very difficult to make suggestions to him. And that had come up, the warning had been the Strength card, which said, yes, it definitely feels that he knows what's right. He's self-disciplined, but he's also very stubborn. And she said, absolutely, he's very stubborn. And what was interesting throughout her reading was the Strength card kept coming up. And I'm drawing here from 4 different decks, 5 actually, as we're exploring, different aspects of her life. And that's typically what I do as well. I don't just work with one deck. I'm usually working with 4 or 5, sometimes even 6 that are sitting on my table at any given time. And so when you're drawing from all these different decks and yet one card keeps reappearing, then I always direct the client to look that up on the internet and learn about that card, because it's far a much higher chance than just random that this card keeps popping up through all these different decks and different explorations and questions. So the Strength card had appeared there first, and it appeared again in other aspects too. So another area that she wanted to explore was, of course, about whether she should sell her business, and something that she really is keen to do soon. And that had come up, the Five of Pentacles. And the Five of Pentacles is like changing physical circumstances over which you have no control, and indeed suggested selling the business now would not be advisable. She wouldn't likely get the money out of it that she should, considering all that she's put into this business over the years. And so she agreed to that, but she in any case wanted to sell her house, and that had come up, the Six of Swords, which is moving into smoother water. So I had taken this as an advice card as well, to put it up for sale in the spring. And she'll see that as spring 2020 progresses, the likelihood of her being able to sell the house will get better and better. It should be sold by the 21st of June. And that's often how I read as well. If you're finding this subject of this video interesting, then don't forget to subscribe, press the button below, and don't forget to click the notification bell so that you receive emails coming in your inbox when I've uploaded another video. From there, we went on to looking at, I pulled out the cards for the transparent tarot, which I've talked about on a few occasions. And this was to explore her daughter's life, who she was very concerned about. She felt that her daughter was now in business, and her son-in-law was in business as well. They're in related businesses. And that was not going well. The marriage is newly married, and she felt that the business and the marriage was a little bit in trouble. So she wanted to talk about her daughter and her business, and whether I saw that as, getting better in the future. And there we drew, this is the Transparent Tarot, and we ended up with this card. So the first card was the Knight of Pentacles, showing that her daughter kind of looks to the past a lot. And she said, well, yes, that's not surprising. Her father was in the same profession as her husband is now, but she often does reminisce about her father and misses him terribly. And so she is kind of a little bit locked onto her past experience. At present, it had come up the Eight of Pentacles, so she's learning. And I asked her if she had a mentor. And she said, well, she doesn't formally have a mentor. And I said, I think that's really what she needs right now. She needs to have someone mentor her who's further along in this profession, more successful, well-known, and offer to pay for her time or his time to sit and chat with her about a marketing plan, a business plan, and to mentor her going forward, and to pull that energy out of her marriage, because it was causing problems in her marriage. And really her husband wasn't the right one to mentor her, as it turns out. And the future card had been then the Judgment card, which is shown here as the Phoenix rising as the future. So I said that rebirths her and gets her very excited about her future, and it looks, much more promising. So again, you can see how within a reading, I'm not just drawing cards and predicting a future, but also kind of extrapolating from the cards what sort of words of wisdom and advice are inherent in them to help for an ideal or better outcome, which is how I see a tarot reading being at its best. It doesn't just make set predictions, but it also gives some advice and some help so that the outcome is more favorable. So thank you for joining me here again today. If you've returned, thank you for coming back. For the future, if you want to continue to see my videos, then don't forget to click the notification bell below and you'll get notifications in your email box. I have websites, of course. There's links to my websites below. You can come and visit my website. I have articles, of course, posted on my websites, and I'm on all the social media: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. I'm connected with all of the social media. Certainly send me a friend request on Facebook. If you do that, let me know that it's because you're coming to me through YouTube. It helps me to identify where the person is coming from. And thank you again for joining me here again today. I look forward to seeing you here soon. Bye for now.